Welcome to Need Your Please, Vile Visit Major. My name is Joseph.
Hey, nothing says family road trip like a suicide mission. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Father-daughter bonding over a little, I don't want to call it light terrorism, little war fighting maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little.
That's what she signed up for, right?
What did we watch this week, Peter?
We are doing Return to Grace. That's season 4, episode 14. First aired February 5th, 1996. Story by Tom Benko. Teleplay by Hans Beimler. Directed by Jonathan West. Do we know Jonathan West?
Well, we're going to find out about him now. Let me see. As director, 6 episodes. Shakar, and then this, Return to Grace. And he's got 4 more behind. One of which is great. Another one which is interesting. Another which oh wow. This guy's got some interesting episodes in the future. But he's only done 6.
He did Firstborn in Next Gen, which I don't really remember.
Yeah, that's like an Alexander focused episode.
Well,
not
that
everyone's
explains
favorite.
it.
Yeah. So this is, if there's an arc, it says arc Klingon War 2 of 8. Really, this is arc Kira and Dukat being best frenemies, 2 of however many. It's really a sequel to an episode we saw earlier this season. So Indiscretions, we saw these 2 go off to a desert planet to rescue / murder / eventually actually rescue Dukat's love child towards Y'all. And this is a direct follow-up within the same season. A very interesting premise here in that we're really showing the continuity pretty quick. Not waiting around.
Looking at Kira Nerys, because we just did the sad Odo episode where she starts getting serious with Shakar, which is heavily featured in this one. Season 1 Kira Nerys, we said, was basically the main character of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
and
she definitely is in season 1. She's bigger. She dominates every scene that she's in. Her anger and uncomfortable sort of fit as a professional first officer of a space station when she just got done being a terrorist was very present.
She has a lot of, feels like Vasquez from Aliens, right?
Yes.
This season 4 Kira is a soft lover. I feel like she is a co-star in all of her episodes. And I'm trying to think, like, the other characters, are they able to have focus episodes where they are the full attention? Because it's always Kira and Odo, Kira and Dukat, Kira and Odo again, Kira and the love. Like, it's all tied at the hip with some sort of romance, and I don't like it.
I will say, I think you're onto something with Kira has been tied to romance more recently.
Which is interesting when you have Dax there too, who, I think you could sit there and argue like, okay, well, she's the Berman pretty science lady. That's traditionally the role of the romance episodes.
Especially when they had made such a specific choice for Kira to not be a romantic source of interest in the first season. And then that ultimately ends up changing first with Bareil and now with Shakar and with Odo in the mix. And obviously Dukat expressing his constant interest in her. Part of her softening, I think, is just the general maturity of her character, right? She's now 4 years into this assignment where she is the first officer of Deep Space Nine. She's become more important. She helped settle a coup and then helped settle the Space Pope's attempt to seize ultimate power, and is the paramour and / best friend of the current president of Bajor, essentially the first minister. And all of that stacks up to somebody who has to back off of their anger, back off of their chip on their shoulder, their constant sort of open, gaping wound of a personality, and calm down, quiet down, realize that she has real responsibilities as a leader, as an important figure in her species, potential fate as it relates to joining the Federation and making its way in the galaxy. So her softening makes sense. I like that she's not as angry as she was in season 1, that we're seeing a more taciturn and wise Kira Nerys develop before our eyes. However, I think there is a weakness in that a lot of this has been tied to romantic subplots, and that, sure, like some of that helps, right? Like if anyone that's ever been in a relationship ever knows that it changes your perspective. It probably leads you to not being quite so bold or brash. Now you have more to consider in your life because you've got another person involved with it and whose needs and wants you have to consider, and protecting them potentially, which Kira, as a former terrorist, is somebody who definitely has a more protective personality than most. But they do seem to be doing it too much. And this might be better balanced because obviously it's more about her trying to teach Dukat about how to fight the way that she fought, and avenging jointly this wound that's been done to both Bajor and Cardassia. And it's an undercurrent of Dukat really being attracted to her that she keeps trying to hold at bay. And if this was the only version of that in this season, maybe it wouldn't be so noticeable. But in the aftermath of first Odo and Shakar, and earlier having this with Dukat in Indiscretions, it does feel like it's a bit too much.
I agree across the board.
Yeah. So okay, anyway, we'll wrap up our episode there.
But unlike Shakar and unlike sad Odo, I always got room in my day for Dukat.
Yeah. And let's face it, Dukat pursuing Kira is one of the more fascinating choices they made in this show.
It is.
Yeah. But it's so interesting.
Going back to, I feel like season 4, Kira just really feels like she came down with a bad case of the Daxes. She's an accessory to other people's stories.
I don't think it's that same at all. Dax is so much more passive.
She doesn't have to get hospitalized for it, but she, the doctor's going to write her a prescription for something.
She has a ton of agency in this plot. It's the exact opposite of what happens with Dax.
But, Dax is an interesting character as an accessory to other people's story, and she has agency. And Dax does not have agency in her own stories.
Okay.
Dax has agency when she is sculpting the outcome of someone else's dilemma. This Return to Grace is very much a Gul Dukat episode.
Yes.
And it is a compelling entry into his experience. So, he went from being, he was a Gul. So then he went up to Legate. The Civil War happens. He got himself in the right place at the right time. And with some Federation support, he was able to get himself installed as the top military official on Cardassia to the
Tapa Council,
which is the civilian governing body that was really able to merge in the absence of the Obsidian Order.
Correct.
He goes on this mission with Kira Nerys to clean up some loose ends, which were his illegitimate daughter, and because of Kira's influence. And it was a welcome influence, and that's something we really discussed during that episode, that, he very much telegraphed what was going to happen there, clearly with the hope, I think, to be pulled from that path.
Yeah, Gul Dukat is an interesting character, as we so often say, is because he's not totally a bad guy, right? Like, he is not a good person, but he's also not a complete black-hearted villain.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings Kira along in part because he has this continuing romantic interest in her, which will continue to be developed as time goes on, as to the background as to why that is and how far it goes, but also that he wanted to be convinced not to kill his daughter. Why else would he say that is his plan, right? Gul Dukat is too smart to say, like, if his actual plan is like, I'm going to murder my illegitimate daughter and clean this up and no one's going to know. First, the last person he's going to bring along on the trip is fucking Kira Nerys, because there's no way he gets away with it with no one knowing. And then second, I'm not going to tell her. right? Like, I'm going to sneak off while we're infiltrating this place. I'm going to gun her down and be like, oh shit, the Breen did it, right?
Yeah.
So he tells her because he wants to not do it, because he's not totally evil. He's like, I'm very conflicted about the idea of killing my own child that is the daughter of a woman that I clearly cared a lot about. So that's what makes this relationship so interesting, is that we continue to see that as much as Gul Dukat is being positioned as this terrible figure that was responsible for a lot of death and murder as part of occupying Bajor, and that is not in dispute by anybody, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some part of him, of a soul, still there. Do you ever see the movie Downfall?
No.
It's the one where, like, Last Days of Hitler in the bunker. It's got the famous scene of the he flips out about the fact that someone's not attacking, and it got memed to death while people inserted different subtitles into it.
Classic.
Absolutely. Movie itself is also incredible. But one of the more controversial and interesting choices it makes is that Hitler is not portrayed as somebody who's totally awful in every circumstance. He cared about his secretaries. He loves his dogs. Like, he has parts of his personality that suggests that there's some part of him that's not completely dark-hearted and evil. Yeah, which means he's human, right? Which is what you would expect out of any portrayal of any human. They're not wholly evil. In the same way, we see that here. If Dukat is essentially Space Hitler, well, he still cares about his daughter, right? Like, he still cares about, like, and that doesn't mean he's not evil, but it does mean there's something there to play with that makes everything with him and Kira so interesting. That is what I love. When I say their relationship is interesting, it's because she is the window by which we see the part of Dukat that's not wholly evil.
That's one of the harder parts with the Dukat character right now. You know, it's a great character. I really enjoy him. But, like, here's this guy that was the global face of the occupation. This was the top authority. This was the overlord of Bajor.
So much so that he was recording BioWare dialogue trees on how to deal with potential insurgency on the space station, right? Like, his face is the one that he wanted out there.
Sometimes he's the captain of the Galore class warship that comes to say hello. Sometimes he's the guy leading the parade when a wooden sailing ship comes out of warp with Ben Sisko. Sometimes now he's a school bus driver. You know, like,
well, at least the school bus driver is, there's spackle for that, right? He got demoted. You know, he got exiled from his...
There's great spackle for it, but it's like, all right, this guy is literally Hitler. Like, there were death camps. There are a lot of Bajorans out there going to lengths to kill collaborators, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this guy needs an assassination attempt on his life like every other episode. He is a big fucking deal, and he is just out knocking around with no disguise on, living this lifestyle that
Hollywood... He does get kidnapped, right? Like,
one time.
And he does say that there were a lot of assassination attempts on him when he was on the prefect of Bajor. It was, you know, now he's... I think that they do say, like, his job is that he has some, like, the Sixth Order. He's like the head of some sort of Cardassian fleet at the beginning of the show, which is why he, like, sometimes shows up with some ships and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some, like, spackle for explaining his position.
It's not terrible. I'm just saying that this guy, that there's you have to reconcile, like, again, literally Hitler now doing all sorts of stuff. And really the answer through all that plays into this episode directly. Why is he so accessible to the characters of this show? It's because he has a romantic interest in Kira Nerys, and he makes time in his day to be next to her over and over and over again.
Correct.
So the setup here for Return to Grace is that, again, in a baffling move, the Bajorans have decided that they want to push forward with reconciling with Cardassia, which, in a vacuum, in a season 1 capacity, all right, maybe. But in season 4, where the Klingons have pushed all of the Cardassian shit in, Bajor's trying to get in to the Federation. The Federation is trying to mend the bridge with the Klingons, or at least not make it worse. And now the people you are actively courting are actively allying with the subject of your occupation. Like, the Klingons have to be like, what the fuck, man? What are you guys actually doing? These people just had you in literal death camps for a long time, and everybody seemed like really emotionally distraught over that. And now, while we are over here beating the shit out of them like a high school hero taking out your bully, you're over here all Stockholmed up like, let's meet and exchange technology or whatever this conference is supposed to be.
I think that
on our plague-ridden colony that Kira has to go through like 15 rabies shots or something.
I do appreciate that you're continuing to hit on that we have new viewers who aren't used to your sort of more dour personality as it relates to this. By the way, there's been some YouTube comments about your Gen X whining as it relates to these kinds of questions.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I figured you might. I pinned it for you.
Part of the dowry that comes with Star Trek is how many episodes of it are there at this point? This is
992 total episodes of Star Trek, according to Memory Alpha. Probably Council of Kurtzman, whatever.
Sure, but whatever. But
it's a lot.
That is part of the appeal of Star Trek. There's a lot of garbage Star Trek out there, even through Berman era, especially through Berman era. But all of it has a place somewhere or another in a deeper conversation. And you can watch this TV show as just something to do while you're down, or you can do what you and I are doing, and it's living in the universe. It's taking this stuff at face value, fleshing it out, and participating in the fantasy. And in a situation like this, the more the merrier. The more episodes, the deeper the well is to draw from. And as you choose your level of involvement in the Star Trek franchise, like, you can just go as deep as you want. And that's the part of the allure, I think, to like Warhammer. Is there's just so much lore out there.
Yeah.
You can watch these as single serving events, or you can go all the way in, which is what you and I are doing. That's the joy that comes of this, is being like, what conversations can we extrapolate from what has happened in this episode and how it pertains to the greater product.
And I think if you're joining us already in progress, it's easy to misinterpret your persnickety, pedantic, detail-oriented complaints as somehow you're not enjoying this. No, for you, to quote Heat, the action is the juice when it comes to this for you, right? Like, this is what you live for. So I know that. People who have been around the whole time know that. But if you're new, all right, now you know, right? Like,
I know that the bugs from season 1 were like a failed plot that everybody wanted to distance themselves from, but you still did it. It's still out there, and I think it's still fun to be like, how does this factor into like what any random admiral has to think about during his normal workday? Like,
if you don't want us to go into detail about bullshit from the past, you're listening to the wrong fucking program. Turn it off now.
And there is a healthy amount of humor in the podcast that we put out, but again, one of the concerns is when in Deep Space Nine, it's like, what happens when it starts getting hard to tell jokes because the quality of the product is too high? And for you and I, the low hanging fruit humor that was abundant in Voyager and season 1 and 2 of Enterprise, we're having to substitute with legit nerd talk, which is a place I'm happy to be.
You're right. Like, oh God, not that. Anything but the thing I enjoy the most. So to get back to your point though, about like, what is the rationale for this? If you're Bajor, the Federation, while it is something that you're trying to get into, while it is something that you can join, you're not trying to put all your eggs in that basket, right? Like, you just got done with a really traumatic experience, as noted. The Cardassians is the one who did it to you.
Yep.
But it has taught you not to trust people, right? And you also don't even know if you're actually going to get into the Federation. It may be poor to assume that is actually what's going to happen. So you're looking at a dangerous circumstance where you're kind of on the edge of Federation space, even if you got in.
Federation, by the way, which through the tail end of TNG was unwilling to back the Bajoran terror cells. Like, that was a big part of those Picard Laren episodes, was like, you guys see, the Federation, the haughty Federation, sees active oppression here, you guys see war crimes in progress. Please get directly involved. And Starfleet being like, no, no. And then by whatever, really, what is the vehicle that the occupation ultimately ends?
It was just that the resistance became so intense that there was no profit in being there anymore. Like the idea is that the resistance became organized enough and effective enough in killing Cardassians, in disrupting whatever it is the Cardassians were doing to essentially extract value out of Bajor, that the Cardassians themselves were like, we have to dump this. We're bleeding out trying to keep this place.
Dukat, who seemed in season 1 and 2 to oppose the withdrawal, blamed the decision to withdraw on the civilian government, specifically the guy he tried to blackmail in that orphan episode, right?
Correct.
And this episode, I think, lays significant groundwork for he says that he knew that the occupation was unjust and that Cardassia was in the wrong, which, can certainly be a part of a military person's character, right? Like, I follow orders and I understand what my duty says, but there's a part of me that says morally this is wrong.
I mean, I want to get to that specific Zial moment later, because I think there's a lot to unpack there that goes to like where things are going with Dukat as a character and why he said what he said. But to wrap up, like, why would Bajor want to involve themselves with the Cardassians against the Klingons? It's because, well, this is your closest actual neighbor with a military force. And the Klingons are just wild and out. And you don't have a relationship with them. And so what's the safest thing for you to do? Build ties with all the players that you can. And we're going to join the Federation. Federation's trying to be nicer to Cardassia because they have a civilian government now. Maybe we can be nicer to Cardassia because we really don't know if maybe the Klingons are the real new threat. It makes sense that they would want to do this. And, we hear about how Shakar basically wined and dined Kira to position her to go do this for him.
What kind of look is that for him?
He's good at manipulating his girlfriend. But also, like, he understands, like, she isn't going to want to do this, so she had to butter her up. I mean, that's really...
Why's it got to be her?
Well, I mean, she is a key figure within the Bajoran militia. She's the first officer of their most important installation. She's clearly a major figure in their species at this point, given like what happened in the coup in season 2, what happened with installing Shakar to begin with. She's a known resistance fighter and terrorist, probably the right kind of person to be advising, as this whole episode is about Cardassians dealing with an asymmetrical military circumstance. And you have a personal relationship with her, so you can trust her to go do it.
I could have gone for one Odo scene where he looks at the way that Shakar manipulated her and been like,
Yeah, I get it.
I'm gonna write that down in my gooey diary.
My burn book. Like, I don't like this at all.
You don't say.
So after we get our Worf, gets a paycheck moment and comes in with a pad of things to not talk about to the Cardassians.
Which, to that real quick, what was in there? Something about photon torpedo guidance systems, advanced sensors, and warp overclocking. Some pretty big what the third endowments.
Those first two are definitely on the list. It's mostly just so that we can do a joke about Kira eating the vomit.
Yeah. Well, listen, sometimes that's where the best world building comes from. The humorous moments.
Next, when we cut back, we are in Kira's quarters. She's packing up. And of course, who show up but Dukat, who explains, hey, I haven't seen you since the whole didn't kill my daughter thing. By the way, really appreciate you convincing me not to do that. Unfortunately for me, I got demoted. I'm in charge of a freighter now. My wife left me with all of my kids. My mother has disowned me because, I banged out a Bajoran and kept my mistress's love child. So that's not great in Cardassian society.
I also need the scene where Kira goes to Sisko and says, listen, if Gul Dukat comes on the station, can I get a phone call before he knocks on my door? Like, do I need to go through and like list the history with me and this guy? Like, I don't like these surprises. And it's one thing when he's just beaming in while we're all being held down with suppressing fire from replicator phasers, but like,
yeah,
the fuck,
could
guys?
there just be a notice of like Space Hitler is not allowed to just show up at my door without so much as a warning?
I do not like this.
Yeah, he just pops in. Oh, hello. I like that we just see the payoff immediately of everything that Dukat said would happen happened. And the clannish nature of Cardassian family politics played out precisely the way he said it that it would. He could not beat that. Like, his wife left him, all of his kids, and he has a lot. They're all gone. His family has completely abandoned him. He has, in fact, lost his career, all because of what he said would happen to Kira to begin with. I mean, it adds the color to how serious Cardassians take family, that his betrayal of his family and doing so with someone of a different species, of a lesser species in their mind, is why this is happening.
But he was a real thug through all of it. He has taken his punishment on the chin. He's acknowledged that it was, or he says it was the correct course of action by everyone involved, that
he would have done the same to any subordinate who did what he did.
But through all of it, as we will come to find out, he does not hold his daughter accountable for these punishments, and he does nothing but embrace her. Do we get to see any of Dukat's other children at any point?
No. Lost opportunity there, I think.
We know he's got a son who was having his coming of age thing when Thomas Riker stole the Defiant.
Correct.
Dukat's a hard dude to have as a dad, man. Like,
he is. Where's Dad? He's not in the picture anymore because he is a Taft Bajoran love child. Sorry, you're never going to get to go to the amusement center with him ever. Bye.
And seemingly picked that child over us.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to something that we saw in Indiscretions, which is that Dukat was in love with this Bajoran woman.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, like, maybe he wasn't in love with his wife. But he was in love with this woman, for sure. And that's why Ziyal is important to him. Like, he feels more connected to her because of the relationship he had with his mother. He had with her mother. So we are on the Gromall, which is the freighter. And we also are not only reintroduced to Ziyal, who's in this episode, but also a very important side character that doesn't feel very important right now, but he gets shot in a way that I think is supposed to make sure you know he's going to be important in the future. And that is Gul Dukat's, from this point forward, reliable right hand, Damar, paid by Casey Biggs, who is a last name we've heard because this is actually Roxanne Dawson's husband. They ended up divorcing sometime after like she was pregnant with her kid, like when B'Elanna like they kept hiding it, like season 4 or 5 or whatever that was. I think it was season 4. But yeah, she was Roxanne Biggs Dawson, if you remember. She was credited as at the beginning of Voyager.
Yeah.
And that's why. So that's Damar is somebody who I think he shows up like just as much as Dukat from this point forward. He's like,
I want to talk about him in a minute, but I want to go back to the scene with Kira on Deep Space Nine in her quarters, because Dukat says a line, which basically, yes, I've lost a lot. It was all deserved, but make no mistake, I will regain everything that I've lost, or everything that I've lost, I will regain.
Yeah.
And that is a very deep line, because there is all the things currently on the table, which is his family, his posting, his respect of the Cardassians. But I really feel in the moment, I feel like what he's saying is like, I'm going to have this station back. That there is a deeper desire here than just where I am in the government. Like, this is where I want to be. I am the hero. This is my house. And it's not just the things that you can feel good about me having. I want all the stuff back that makes me the bad guy. And it's all coming. So like, the old Scorpion thing, like can you trust this guy, or in the end is he going to end up stinging you because he is a Star Trek bad guy and that's what they do.
They do a great job with his intensity and how he always says this stuff that definitely puts that on the table, right? Of like, what do you mean by that? What an odd thing to say, right? Like, and in the way you said it too, it's just,
that's
vaguely sinister.
There's a whole like vibe with Dukat too, where he's not stupid. And sometimes you got to stop and ask yourself, like, is what he's saying right now like an obvious manipulation, or is this guy just fucking dense? Like the fact that he puts up the amount of resistance later in the episode, like, we can't put the guns in the cargo bay. Like, that's against protocol. Like, dude, you know, it's the right answer. Like, why would you push back against this? Are you really that simple?
Well, I mean, there's a reason, because, you know, it's how he was getting paid, right? Like,
yeah, but he's also talking about hunting down something that's going to whoop the shit out of him. Like, or is he manipulating Kira to make her feel like she's really convincing him and like winning him over? That's a fun part of the Cardassians. Is these are they are not the most technologically advanced, but they are manipulative as fuck, or they can be, and everything can be part. That's what we found out by the Secret Order. And granted, he's Central Command, so it's not as shifty, but I still think the capacity is there.
I agree. It's hard, and I think the fact that it's hard to tell, is this a spot where he's genuinely learning something, or is this a spot where he's like setting Kira up to play into the role that he wants her to play, and you don't know which is which? It could be either.
Is the pervasiveness of the Cardassian idealized self really expressing itself here, right? Like unending sacrifice. We keep going back to that, which is like the folk tale of modern Cardassia. Or was it Unending Sacrifice? Is that what it was called? Garrick's favorite movie, where it's just generations of people sacrificing everything for the state. You know, him openly saying like, great, we've done something impressive. And instead of framing it as now we're going to get justice for the people who died, this is going to be excellent for my career. Like, what an easy way to paint yourself as a dipshit right here to someone who clearly is not going to be impressed by that kind of talk. That could be his Cardassian upbringing. That could be his ignorant pride or some other toxic trait. I don't think in those moments that he's trying to manipulate. I think that's really just a mask off stupid moment for him, which lends credence to the fact that this guy does have blinders on. He is used to being in a superior position, which certainly head of the occupation would have deeply ingrained in him.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy is having to break a lot of old habits as he goes from being the dominant force to an underdog.
I mean, it's funny you bring up I love that you bring up the unending sacrifice, because I feel like the ending is a lot of that coming to the forefront for him, where he discards he actually achieves his goal, but gets rid of it because it's insufficiently devoted to the, you know, what he sees as the actual needs of the Cardassian people, which he does actually decide to put first rather than, you know, his own comfort and place in society.
Man, you're right. He does.
And so we'll get to that though. I love that again, like that just one-off conversation between Bashir and Garrick about Cardassian fiction could provide all of this color as we go through this story. But they get on the Gramal, we meet Damar, we reintroduce ourselves to Zial, who's still played by the actress that played her the first time. So
yeah, I thought so. When do they change her?
They change her for the next episode. So they go from Sia Batten to Tracy Mittendorf, who's only plays her for one episode, and then Melanie Smith is the actress who plays her the rest of the way in seasons 5 and 6. So, so I do think Melanie Smith plays the character the best in terms of what they are intending. I think I start to see what their problem is here, is that she comes off a little too soft, a little too young. She doesn't quite much feel like someone who survived, you know, years in a Breen mine, dilithium mine,
or
right? But you know, she's there so that we can have a window into Dukat that no one else has, right? And that is why she's interesting. Is as the plot goes on, they get to the conference site. It's been destroyed. All of the Bajorans there are dead. All the Cardassians there are dead. A bird of prey has done it. The bird of prey makes itself known. It basically belittles the Gramal's attempts to stop it by like purposefully showing its ass and then warping away.
Shields down. And you know, just real quick, there are training drills that Dukat is demanding of this freighter crew. It's a military vessel, so everybody's still in uniforms. What would you say, guy's name is Damar?
Damar.
Yeah,
write that one down. You don't want to keep mispronouncing that one.
You know, these guys are heavily featured. He lets Damar sit through some real choice, bad look conversations later on. I feel like there's some dialogue missing somewhere in this episode where we are brought up to speed that the crew of the Damar is like his inner circle that was punished along with him.
The crew of the Gramal, you mean? Damar is the guy.
I'm sorry, because like the expectations he has on these guys and the amount of shit that they put up with from him, like, and the fact that we see a lot of this Damar guy moving forward, like I need these people to be more significant and everybody need to be stuck here as a communal punishment, and that this wasn't just schlub freighter crew that was as amazingly competent too. Like they're like, oh yeah, we can all read Klingon and operate fucking pro. Like, wow, what a thorough and great staff for a garbage scout, essentially.
Yeah, there's a little bit of missing content, perhaps, because they wanted to focus on the Kira Dukat element, which I understand.
Sure.
That's where all your dramatic juice is.
But he's made it clear that like we're going to be ready. We do have a gun. I am excited. I'm ready to use this gun. This bird of prey uncloaks, and he's like, shoot them. And they shoot him. And like that's another thing. This is a good episode, but like there's stuff, especially as a father, like there is zero consideration that anyone puts in at any time, whether it's Dukat or Kira, of like, we are going on suicide runs right now. We are kicking hornet's nest and my daughter is on this vessel. Beam her ass down to the surface. Talk about dumping her off somewhere. By the end, you know, it's Kira like, oh, hey, by the way, maybe we should let me have her on Deep Space Nine. But like, never at any point when Kira's like, do not attack them. They're going to turn around and beat our ass. They're going to blow us up. And your daughter is on here. You know we cannot win this fight. Do not do this right now. We can get them on the back end. We can go terrorize them later. But like, don't start a head-on fight right now while your child is here. And the lack of that conversation at any point is a rough one to get around.
I think it's because they were saving it for the end, right? Like, if you have that conversation at the front end, you don't have the scene at the back end where Kira's like, I think I know how to navigate my circumstances here, which is to say, I'm going to decline the offer, but I'm going to tell Dukat. And it basically try to affirm what his choice is by saying, like, you really can't be bringing your daughter along with this. But tell you what, I will take responsibility for her, which is what he wants, right? He loves to have that connection with her.
Disagree. I think they could have had this argument on the front end and he can say, well, you know, she needs to be with me. Her place is here. Where else would she be? And then by the end, Kira says, I'll take her.
Okay, so you think like they could have set it up more by using this moment.
I don't want to endanger her, but I don't want her to live in a Cardassian world where we're bitches and we tuck our tail and run. You know, she has to be with me and I have to be here doing these things because someone has to.
Right. She has no other place but here. So
right. And then the solution at the end would have been that. How do you feel about the Klingons who, in their current configuration, we have not seen anything out of the Klingons, I think, that feels like mercy or kindness. And these guys being like, hey, there's an sitting duck freighter. Why wouldn't they just bingo a military vessel?
I think they're showmen sometimes, right? Like, Klingons are very dramatic. They love opera. They enjoy stories of grand accomplishment. And it's a fun story to say, like, I blew up this outpost and then this stupid little freighter came by and it shot at me. And I disrespected them so much that I basically teabagged them, right? Like, you and I, we played a fair amount of Vampire. There's something to be said for like humiliating your opponent and letting them remember it and then being able to tell the story later because it demonstrates your power, right? I did the thing that was important and then I allowed someone who wasn't important to survive and witness it. I remember when I was playing Elias Beecher and I did a staged assassination where I took out a guy an Archon was guarding, and I soul stole the Archon and made him watch while I killed the guy he was supposed to be protecting, and then I let him live just for the dramatics. Should I have killed the Archon? Probably. But it was way more fun and way more interesting for me to have that guy go out and tell the story of how this, guy came in and clowned me and made me watch while he took out the guy I was there to protect.
Again, maybe if there was more time in the episode, like I think a story that I'm willing to listen to there is that there are elements in the Klingon military that know this is an unjust thing that's happening, that they served long enough through the Kimpek years. And again, Kimpek was the longest seated Klingon emperor. High Chancellor, is that what Gowron is?
Chancellor of the High Council, yes.
Kimpek was corrupt, and there's problems with Kimpek, but Kimpek was responsible for the longest reign of peace and probably the most like Federation cooperation rhetoric. And again, I think what's Herschler's name? J.G. Herschler?
Yeah.
General Martok, right?
Correct.
From what I've seen of Martok so far, I don't think that he is 100% on board with what's going on. And I think that is reasonable to assume that there are other Klingon captains that are like, I'll follow my orders, but I do not feel great about this for common sense reasons, or Kimpek era indoctrination. And okay, here's a freighter. We were not ordered to kill these guys. Fuck them, let's go. And I think that had you done something with the they hail and say, be gone, I'm not here to kill you, and just kind of get that vibe of like, dude, just fuck off. Like, I don't want to do this. That later on, Dukat's actions to kill everybody on that, like, does a great job of like reminding you, like,
He's
this dude he is bad.
Yeah.
These people ultimately
I think that would have been a good change. I think I justified the reasoning of what they go with the plot relatively well to say. Yeah, but I think your change makes it better. If it's clear there was like a degree of restraint that this Klingon captain was showing, it's like, I'm only going after military targets I have to. I'm not just going to murder everyone that in my path. I don't really.
That is dishonorable.
Yeah.
This isn't just humiliation. Like, I am an honorable warrior and I'm waging to some degree a dishonorable war. I think it would have been very on brand for Deep Space Nine if they had the time to dedicate to something like that.
Yeah, and it's like the casualty of 45 minutes, right? Like, what would you have cut? I don't know if I would have cut anything between Kira and Dukat, and that's most of your content, right? Most of the rest of the crew isn't in the episode. Every scene in here there's nothing wasted. So it's like, what do you do? Well, sometimes you just have to let your imagination make decisions as to why it is the Klingons are doing this, because you don't have the time to spell it out. We then hit on what we already talked about, which is, okay, Kira's going to teach these Cardassians how to do a bit of terrorism, a bit of asymmetrical warfare.
Cue the Mulan
song. We're going to make a man out of you.
Which, she's going to a peace conference. Remind me again why there's Federation Type 3 phaser rifles laying around.
Yeah, they don't exactly explain why they have that. I think they just wanted to have an AK-47 versus M16 conversation on screen. That's what that felt like.
They wanted a little Hicks Ripley action there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good shot, right? Because that's what leads to the conversation I wanted to get to, which is when she's talking to Zial, and Zial talks about how Dukat says that he regrets things that happened during the occupation and that it was unjust. And I found all of that interesting because how much of that do you think is Dukat telling his daughter what she wants to hear? Because I think that's what that
what
is.
Kira Nerys wants to hear?
No, what I don't think Dukat told Zial these things because he expected Zial to have a conversation with Kira Nerys at some point about it. I think it's the sort of thing you would have told your half Bajoran daughter because you want her to think that that's what you are, right?
I
Like,
don't, that's
okay.
such a hard question to answer with Dukat, man.
That's what's interesting, though, isn't it? Like, did he have a moment of weakness where he says, like, oh, I did really bad things and I really regret what I did? Because he's with the one person he feels like he can be vulnerable in that level because it's not like an actual avatar of that whole experience, right? Like the daughter of his lover. Or is it that, okay, like I do love my daughter, but I need her to love me. And
Yeah.
the only way that's going to happen is if she thinks that I regret the things that she's going to hear that I did. And
Also,
that she knows I'm changed, or she knows that I'm not this monster. It could
my
be
recent introduction reunion with her came in the form of me pointing a rifle at her, ready to kill her. So, like, how do I get some brownie points on file to maybe blur that little situation out? You can't say with Dukat.
Yeah.
This is not a Star Trek Enterprise two-dimensional bad guy. This is not a Voyager two-dimensional bad guy. This guy is complicated as fuck. And, you know, when is he manipulating someone? When is he lying? Does Gul Dukat lie to himself?
Yes. All the time. Anyone like Gul Dukat lies to himself first.
I think we can
the
say
first
yes.
and most important lie is to yourself. That's the only way to become someone like Dukat.
I think the evidence there is his endorsement of the Cardassian legal system 2 episodes before that legal system is levied against him. And it has to be Benjamin Sisko that essentially saves him from his looming kangaroo court.
No one is possessed of this kind of ego and drive that isn't constantly having to lie to themselves about themselves. Because if you had sober self-awareness, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And it's part of why he's successful, right? Because by turning himself into this, he takes enormous risks and pays it off because he's a person of charisma and talent. But he has to be very self-deceptive. And so it goes back to our question here about this conversation. When he told Zial this, did he say it because he believes it? Or did he say it because it was a lie he was telling Zial? Or is it a lie he was telling himself?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. And what I love about the whole episode here is that Kira is the one who's trying to navigate this with her, right? This innocent, this person who has no agenda, who isn't a bad person, who's the daughter of Hitler, basically, and trying to say, like, what he's trying to get to is forgiveness from me, because I am the avatar of the Bajoran people to him, right? He's attracted to me, he wants me, but also, like, I was a resistance fighter. I'm the girlfriend of the first minister. If I forgive him for what he did, it's a representation of forgiveness he can apply to all of Bajor. If Kira Nerys is okay with me, then everyone is okay with me. I have finally moved beyond this very complex failure that I was a part of. And I'm not going to give it to him. I love it, right? Like, this is the heart of the story that's being told between the two of them that I find so fascinating, right? Like, this is unlike anything in Trek. It's really unlike anything in television, of this antagonistic yet not wholly evil figure who's very deeply tied to a protagonist in a way that defies a simple conversation, a simple explanation. And Kira's never tempted to be in a relationship with Dukat. It's a very one-sided attraction, but it's still very, like, the weight of it is still very intense because Dukat's an intense guy. And, like, we see that after they capture the bird of prey. Right? Let's kind of move through
before we go deeper in that, I want to draw a parallel between Dukat and Debbie Dopapopoulos. If Debbie Dopapopoulos can convince Odo to join her, then she is reinforcing and justifying the changeling agenda as the true way, right?
Yeah. She is representative of the founders, and the way of the founders is correct if Odo can be convinced it's correct.
She needs Odo to side with her so she can win morally and existentially. And I think there's a lot of that in this Dukat. Kieran Reese is, if I can get this former terrorist, okay, I'm attracted to her. I got a Bajoran fetish, and she's fight. There's superficial attractions, but also if I can get this person to essentially forgive me and engage with me, then I am absolving myself, and I'm winning the moral and existential dilemma that is before me.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what's so incredible about this. If you can see all of their interactions through the simple lens of, I want to bang you and I'm trying to do my Cardassian, flirting technique, which is not compatible nor going to be
Man,
successful.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a big part of this.
Right. Or, which I think is better, is to say, he is not merely trying to sleep with Kira. He is trying to get Kira to see him as an ally and to offer implicit absolution through making that decision.
Excuse him. Yeah.
And her steadfast refusal to do so is why he continuously tries to find ways to be involved in their life, because he's not giving up on it. It's that important to him.
He's not giving up on himself.
The lie that he is telling himself can only be true if Kara Nerys allows it, and she won't. And there's no forcing it. There's no way I can compel it, because then it's not real. She has to choose to do it.
So they take the ground-based defenses, they put it in a freighter.
Yep.
It now becomes a hobo with a shotgun. No consideration while they are transporting guns and jerry-rigging this thing to be I don't even know what this glass cannon. No consideration is made to, like, hey, get my daughter out of here. All right, we're going to go find this bird of prey that completely outclasses us to the point where our regular phasers couldn't even get past 100-year-old hull armor. I'm going to use my knowledge that I had as Legate to identify that, hey, here's some civilian targets that are actually really choice military installations. I feel like there was a conversation that should have happened somewhere as to why these targets are being picked and why the ground-based defenses failed. They said the guns were deactivated, and there's never any further conversation into how does that happen. And I thought there was going to be like, we have a spy. Right?
There was definitely like a hanging chat in there, right? Like there was a moment of like, are we going to explain this because did they hack the computer, and they turned him off, and that's like, again, the intelligence that we underestimated. Is it that they had a spy and beamed him on board, and we're going to detect evidence of that, so we know how they did it? There was like a missing 5 words of spackle there, for sure.
But hey, there's a secret installation that's way out here that looks like it should be a low priority, but the Klingon intelligence is strong enough that they know about it, which again, I think leads credence to like there's an inside operative of some sort that is working against us here. But we're going to fly out there. We're going to make a honeypot. We're going to spoof our transponder to make it seem like we're full of gold bullion. And lo and behold, here come the Klingons who actually want to hail us this time. What do you got? I know you got the lithium. We're going to seize you. Tractor beams have to be down for shields to operate then, right?
Well, the tractor beam works with shields up, but you can't transport with shields up. So tractor it, get close, get ready to board. Shields come down. All right, fuck them up. Makes sense.
Fuck them up they do. They open the garage door and blast them right in the weak spot.
Right with that hobo shotgun, and hits them twice. Takes a nice wound to the hull on the bottom, but not enough to actually destroy them. They return fire. It's like, okay, we're going to be dead in the next shot. What do we do? And this is where we cut to basically ripping off of Wrath of Khan. Okay, their shields are down. What can we do? We can transport on board. We'll transport to their transporter, take out their guards, and then transport their guys to our ship and our guys to their ship. Cool idea.
Very Kieran Reese.
That's how we know it's cool.
We're not going to beam them into space, though.
No, because we want to have the dramatic moment where we're going to,
No, because it's Kieran Reese doing it. There's a right way to do this, and there's a wrong way. And we are not Seska animals. We're not going to transport people into space. We're going to put them on our ship. and they're going to be stuck there, and won't they be embarrassed? What a perfect cap to this episode. We got their ship, and the people who flew over us and basically gave us the middle finger and humiliated us. Now we are humiliating them. What a perfect way to end this. And Dukat's got some other plans.
He just walks right over to the console and hits the big red activation button, and the weapons that were about to fire on his ship fire, and he blows them up. And Kira's a little aghast at this. Like, was that necessary? And
all my shit was on that ship. You just blew up everybody's stuff, dude. Not cool.
And he goes, "You're the terrorist. You tell me. Like, I just killed my enemies. That's what I do." And it's a perfect reminder of like, this Gul Dukat is still Gul Dukat. He's not a nice man.
Pacing on this is crazy because I figured this is the end of the episode here, and there's still a lot more to go, because what's going to happen is they're going to start going through the ship. They're going to go, oh, fuck, this thing is real rich in information here. Their passwords suck. We got all these choice military targets. We got this thing is
first Klingon vessel ever captured by the Cardassian Empire.
And there were skirmish wars too. So this is a big deal. I am going to get everything I wanted, and my wildest dreams are going to come true. I'm going to go talk directly to the Dutapa Council guys, and by the end of it, he has been fully reinstated. He has all of his laurels back. He is once again a hero, and he could not give a single shit because, as you said, as we find out, the Dutapa Council, which is a civilian government, does not want to pursue a military conflict with Klingons. They're looking for diplomatic opportunities here, which, wow, what a turning point for the Cardassian people. Granted, they're on the back foot. They've been getting their asses kicked. I don't think a military conflict with the Klingons is realistic, and they see it. Or maybe, hey, we've seen a lot of sentiment out of the civilian portions of the Cardassian government that did not support, by the end, the occupation.
Yeah.
And I think that it can easily be argued that there is a legitimate positive growth in Cardassian civilization, culture, to move away from the Central Command / Obsidian Order era. And Dukat's not having any of it. Dukat has an option for peace and personal profit, and instead he is going to choose violence.
This goes back to what you said about the never-ending sacrifice. How does this play out in front of us? Dukat, for all of his ambiguity morally and antagonistic nature, is a Cardassian's Cardassian. That is without dispute, right? He might be self-serving, he might be career-oriented, he might be amoral at best, but he is a Cardassian's Cardassian. And as a consequence, he wants what's best for his people. He thinks him being in charge is what's best for his people. He thinks him being in power is how those things happen. But when given this stark reality of like, actually the existing government is not willing to do the thing that he believes Cardassia should do, which is demonstrate its power and fight and use its unity, it's this cohesion that it's built as a society through the never-ending sacrifice to continue to sacrifice whatever's necessary to defeat the Klingons, especially when handed this incredible tactical advantage. And he sees them saying, like, no, we're going to find a way through doing this through negotiation and peace. We're not actually going to continue to do the never-ending sacrifice. And he's like, oh, fuck that, right? Like, that's actually his breaking point from his selfishness, is the idea that his people would no longer hew to this guiding principle that is what allowed them to become what they are, right? Like, what do we hear from Garrick when we talked about this with Bashir, is that the Cardassian people were essentially adrift and easily defeated and not a power in the universe until such time that they came to the conclusion that they needed a military government to create order and to establish this necessity of sacrifice to the state to be able to build the Cardassian people writ large. It's why they're so unified on a family level. It's why his exclusion from his life as a consequence of his very improper actions is something that he even agrees, Dukat in this case, was correct, right? Like that we talked about it at the beginning of the episode. This is the culmination at the end of him saying, like, oh, well, my people have lost their way. I am the last true Cardassian. It's right here.
I'm excited to see how Garrick responds to the news that Gul Dukat could have been reinstalled as the chief military advisor to the Datapa Council, and instead he has decided to go off on this fool's errand crusade with his stolen Klingon bird of prey. Like, these guys are enemies, right? They've tried to kill each other. They do not see eye to eye at a micro level, but on a macro level, they absolutely do. And I'm curious if Garrick will look at this Dukat moment with respect, or if Garrick has deeply changed in the wake of the what's his mentor's name?
Oh no, Inebrium Tane.
Inebrium Tane. Has Garrick been dislodged from the Cardassian fantasy and can now say, I have Federation ideals, and what you're doing right now is stupid. And also, too, like, is Dukat right? Are the Klingons going to stop? Is diplomacy with these guys a real option? I don't know that it is.
Right.
The things you're seeing out of the Klingons are, yeah, okay, maybe there is a changeling infiltrator thing there. And like, that was the fun of Way of the Warriors. Like, are the Klingons wrong?
And
50-50, I don't know. Is Dukat wrong for wanting to push a terrorism crusade against the Klingons when his government wants to, like, chill things out? 50-50, I don't know. I don't know if the Klingons would ever capitulate to that. Is Dukat wrong for saying, fuck it, we got to keep this thing going, and now we finally have the means to kind of do that effectively?
I think the plot leaves that question open enough that and this is a good choice, right? To provide some ambiguity as to what the right answer is here. They're not saying Dukat's wrong to think this, right? Nor are they confirming that he's correct to think this, but he does believe it, which is important, right?
And his crew just goes along. These fucking guys again, like, listen, bro, like, yesterday we were hauling around trash, like simple freighter, like, this is a fishing boat. This is a military fishing boat. And now you are turning us into, after, by the way, heavily flirting with your with this terrorist wannabe girlfriend of yours. Like, again, very bad look for Dukat to anybody who's just like, okay, mister, I got disgraced for doing exactly this kind of shit. Like, this needs to be his inner circle that came in with him. They all need to be like, yeah, that's Dukat. We're all in this together. Because these dudes would be like, yeah, while we're dropping people off at Deep Space Nine, can I stay at Deep Space Nine? Because I don't want to go on a suicide crusade. I don't want to get hit in the stomach with a fucking bat'leth and have my heart eaten while I'm alive.
That is a thing they do.
That is a thing they do.
So we wrap things up with Dukat giving one hell of a speech to Kira to try and, again, get her on his side. And viewing it through the lens of her partnership with him would be his absolution. Again, it makes sense of, like, how he's pitching this as hard as he possibly can to her. But ultimately, Kira isn't really considering it as an option, and she finds a way to, I think, satisfy Dukat's ego enough to allow her to have her way, which is important, which is, I'm going to say no to what it is that you've requested, but, as I've already mentioned, I'll give you that continued opportunity for us to be so deeply connected with each other, because I will take responsibility for your daughter. I will protect her on Deep Space Nine. So now you'll have even more reason to be dropping in unannounced at my door because I'm taking care of your only family member that you have contact.
Yeah, we're going to co-parent.
Right. I'm going to be mom, which is like everything that Dukat wants right now.
They do a real good job across all of these past two episodes with Dukat and Kira to, like, make Zora, whatever, like, a very valid target for Kira's sympathy.
Yeah, no, Ziala is a great character because she is half Bajoran, half Cardassian, and kind of innocent to everything because she was removed from everything for so long that, as Kira says at the end, because I see myself in her, right? Sure. I see the person part of who I was before I became who I am now, and I don't want her to go through what I went through. So I would like her to come with me.
When Dukat's trying to con Kira into going along with his terrorism campaign. Like, and nobody's just like, listen, by the way, I serve my people's Jesus Christ. He is my boss on the station where we're currently preparing for the real threat, which is the Dominion. So you can have fun fighting the Klingons, but we've got bigger fish to fry. See you later. Like, Dukat's like, they're going to come after the Bajorans. Like, dude, like, let me off this fucking ship. I'm not doing this shit. I gotta go yell at my boyfriend for sending me on this suicide mission. Speaking of the Klingons, next episode, if you're ready to move on.
Yes, we are ready to move on.
I see we got the Sons of Moog. This is going to be season 4, episode 15. Worf's brother Kern, who, have we seen him in Deep Space Nine?
We have not.
We haven't seen him since he was an old Jake Sisko.
We have seen Tony Todd, yes.
Mm-hmm. Worf's brother Kern arrives at the station and asks Worf to kill him. Like you do. Meanwhile, Klingon ships are detected outside Bajoran space. Well, speak of the devils, huh?
The plot is here, and it's not leaving for a while.
Good, because I have not really been thrilled with our vacations from the plot, and I'm excited to get back to it.
Yeah, this is one of, I would call 3 like Worf episodes of the season. We already watched one, sort of Kalis, which we weren't very impressed by. This one's better. I think the best one is to come, Rules of Engagement. But we'll return more substantially. Like, again, we're going to pass on did Worf add to this episode because like really nobody else.
I don't want to.
Anyway.
I want to talk about that because I think Worf did add to the episode. I don't think there's anybody else who would have been, minus Jadzia, maybe. Worf being the company man that's like, we need to protect our the Starfleet interests.
That's true. He's the right person to deliver that message.
I am the company man. I am the former flagship officer. It's going to be me saying this is national security matters.
And we didn't talk too much about this element when we did Crossfire, but I will say like Worf added huge to that episode. So
which
like if
Crossfire?
That's the one where he was the one who did Odo's job for him because Odo was.
Oh my God, he was. You couldn't have done that episode without him.
So on the continued tally of is Worf adding to this season, we got more yeses than no's so far.
What's Cull's name? Not Remington.
Oh, Eddington.
Eddington would have been good in that. Worf was just better because of the previous conflict between Worf and that. But I think Eddington doing Odo a solid there and just being the Starfleet guy also would work. But I think so far our tally goes that Worf is a value add. Even if you'd cut Way of the Warrior out, I still think he is. He's doing good things here.
He's bringing a presence to the station that was not there before as the scope of what's happening widens. And you can kind of feel that that's what he's there to do.
Is this Son of Moog going to be a good one?
I like it, but then I'm like also into like I think we'll enjoy it because we spent so much time going back through who Kern is before we got into the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you didn't have the context we decided to build for ourselves, this one might feel like it's coming out of nowhere. But in terms of like a continuity of Worf's personal story, I like the story.
Wasn't there a story where Alexander comes back in time?
Yes, as
a grown warrior. What was that one about?
I forget. There's a TNG episode. I forget that one. Alexander shows up in Deep Space Nine, not through.
I know, but I'm
travel.
That the future version of Alexander. Did he go back to the future, or did things happen that prevented him from ever existing, or is he out there running around as an adult somewhere?
I think time changed such that he no longer, or he went back into the future. God, I don't actually remember that episode well at all. I've watched it once. It's one of those TNG episodes I watched once, and probably more than a decade ago at this point.
All right. Well, if anybody wants to talk about that on the trauma support group, feel free.
Or like make fun of us on our YouTube comments. We like that too. See you guys next week.